I'm Catherine Ross, and I'm here live from the NYC with Jim Cramer. Jim, let's kick it off by going unfiltered. What's on the top of your mind?
Like Everlane, which I'm about to visit, I believe in radical transparency, and I think a lot of people on Twitter just are always gunning for me. Yesterday, I had an exchange with David Faber and Carl Quintanilla on Squawk on the Street about what people are saying behind the scenes. It's one of the things I like to do all the time. There are people who tell me things, and it's off the record for background, and the bankers are all saying the same thing. We got to stop Elizabeth Warren. And what it came out is like people just on Twitter said, "Oh, Cramer wants to stop Elizabeth Warren." Elizabeth Warren's been a frequent guest on the show. I don't have any politics. I like to present her view. I think her some of the business stuff she has makes a lot of sense because it's been my view for a long time. It's nothing revelatory. But she then retweeted it as being Elizabeth Warren. I agree with this message, and I just want people to understand that I am not trying to stop anyone. What I was very clearly saying, but if you didn't listen close enough, or because maybe you need Q-tips, is that these are what the bankers are telling me. And I think that if anyone who thinks that I am even important enough to say, hey, stop it. But I obviously didn't do that. This is similar. Someone this morning said, and Jim, didn't you tell people to buy Lehman Brothers? And I was called in by Lehman Brothers because I had been bashing it. And they wanted to know why I was bashing it, and they were very critical of me. And so it's very funny that one that I was just saying sell, like I said AIG, like I said Fannie Mae, I'm being castigated that Jim said buy Lehman. And of course, the amazing one has always been the cottage industry urban legend of Bear Stearns, where someone asked me if they had their money in Bears safe. And far be it from me to say it wasn't safe, since it was safe, that you actually got your money back. If it's your account. So these urban legends come back and haunt you, and periodically I like to point out, whether it be Jon Stewart who got that wrong, and or whether it be these different people who got it wrong, that I periodically will stand up for myself. Just because my mother would say, if you don't stand up for yourself, who will? I've gotten some things very wrong, but let's deal with the ones that I've gotten very wrong, as opposed to the ones that a comic said that I got wrong, or that people on Twitter said that I got wrong, like Lehman, where it is ironic that there's Lehman calling me in saying, you got to stop bashing us, and yet there's Twitter, Cramer put me in Lehman. So, there are alternate universes, and so that's what's top of mind for me today about stocks. Obviously, what's top of mind for me that's not unfiltered or filtered is what happened today on 9/11. And there, I just want to say that is, it's a day where I'm just going to try to put it in a positive light for a second, which is that there is a memorial that is 10 blocks from here. And everybody must take their kids, because we cannot have this. This was Pearl Harbor for our generation. Now, we did not get to see the USS Arizona because it cost too much money to fly to Hawaii. But we can all get to New York, and you take your kids. And that's what I'm going to say about it, other than the fact that we did have people from TheStreet that we lost. There was a guy started every single morning, as Dougie Cass knows, Bill Meehan from Cantor. Every morning we had his bulletin, and it was why you went to TheStreet in the morning. Great guy, talked to him constantly, and now email back, because it was all email. But I was here downtown. You were just worried about which way the buildings were going to fall. It's a big dark cloud. But mind, I'm insignificant. The lives lost, the people who actually chose to go in to help save lives, it's obviously what we have to remember. But the best way to commemorate at this point is to come down. Come down and go to the memorial, which is incredibly well done. The only other place that I was ever moved like that is Yad Vashem in Israel for the Holocaust. There's just nothing. Those are the two museums. The Washington Holocaust Museum, where my daughter worked, apparently the same people designed. So there are ways to commemorate, and the way you do it is to go and to make your kids go. There's too many kids who don't know what happened that day.
And I do have to say it's a very powerful, very moving memorial. Now, Jim, I do want to talk about your Real Money column from this morning. You've been saying over the past couple of days, you've been noting how the market's been moving.
Yeah, it's time. It's time to buy the ones that have been thrown away. And you take a look at a JP Morgan or Citi. Those are the undervalued stocks that moved up. They're being thrown back today, which means now is the time. If you haven't bought any Okta, Twilio, owned by Action Alerts, it's time to buy Twilio. There was a note out by Morgan Stanley saying we're probably 3/4 of the way through the rotation. That's when you have to buy. You can't wait till the rotation's completely done. We made some buys yesterday, and I have I do bull market fantasy now, which is Bill Enright is unbelievable. If you haven't watched that, you're nuts. I've made so many good moves just listening to Bill and the people he brings on. But we're we're looking at wide receivers. That's what I did today on the waiver wire, and I've come up with a bunch of names, and I urge you to go and look at real money and look at the names. I think that's worth it to trial real money in the same way it's worth it to trial the club, which tomorrow I've had to rewrite. By the way, I do a club talk tomorrow. I've had to rewrite it twice. So now I'm just saying, okay, I'm going to wait and get up at 3:30 and do it again, because this market's moving so fast, you must be on the conference call.
Now, before we move on to bull market fantasy, I just want to ask, in 60 seconds, how can an investor find a bargain in this market?
Okay, what you got to do is you actually have to look at some tried and true rules. You want stocks that are down between 5 and 8% that beat the quarter, and the quarter's reported recently enough so you know that's the case, and that raised forecasts that are now well below where that happened. That's the formula of what to pick. I'll talk about that tonight on Mad Money. It's tried and true. You do not look for stocks that are only down 3%. You want to do 5 to 8. The reason why you want to do that is you want a little comfort, because next move is down 10, and you can buy another tranche. What I don't want you to do is down 3. A lot of good stocks are only down 3%. I'm willing to miss those. Like a Procter's down that much. I'm willing to miss that to try to get a little bit more juice on the upside. So this isn't a clarion call to buy a PepsiCo or a Procter, but it is a clarion call to buy a Twilio or an Okta.
Now, going back to bull market fantasy, bullmarketfantasy.com, if you guys don't know it, what has learning with Bill about fantasy football taught you about the stock market?
Okay, what it really does talk to you about is no emotions. There are fantasy football and stocks share so much overlap; it's amazing. And the thing that most is daunting is people want to buy hot. Okay, and they want to sell cold, and they should be doing the opposite. That's just chasing. That's one thing we've learned is chasing doesn't work. It's Bill has some guys who you might want to chase who actually their points were all gathered in garbage time or luck, and then you want to sell guys. I mean, I dropped Darnold. And I got that okay from Bill. I got that okay because he was talking about Jacoby Brissett. Now, Brissett is classic of cold. Like, who wants a cold, right? We all we wanted was luck, but he blessed Brissett. He said that Frank Reich has got him going, and there is an unemotional buy. So what Bill is doing is getting you to check your emotions at your door and not chase. And those are great traits of good investors.
Now, I want to dig more into Apple over on our Action Alerts Plus Daily Rundown show, but I do want to ask you really quickly.
Welcome back. I'm sorry, I should have said
Thank you. But really quickly, Apple said that their Apple TV Plus will be $4.99 a month.
Right.
Netflix is almost double that.
Right.
What do you think? Have they lost their pricing power?
I think Netflix is a hit-driven business. They need more hits. Apple doesn't need to be hit-driven because at $4.99, you'll barely notice it. And that's exactly what Apple's banking on, frankly, is that you'll just like you when you back up your photos, it's just $10. I mean, they picked the price point that will make it so you don't look at it on an email, and that's really important. Millennials do not want to have too many monthly bills, but this one kind of sneaks in. They got this app store, and the New York Times has a very interesting piece today about do they skew things toward Apple. That's silly. You don't need to go to the App Store. I mean, you can. That's like saying Walmart. Does Walmart skew it toward the Walmart private label? I mean, I hope so. Does Kroger skew it toward? I mean, I hope so. Kroger needs to make some money. So, Apple by its own ingenuity is getting hurt. But I do think that people will take the $4.99. I joked this morning about how Tim Cook has good taste, and all the guys were just saying, "Well, Jim, that's not why we want it." But they missed the point. The point is that Apple is known as a technology company, but the people who run Apple are creative. Now, Reed Hastings is a technologist who's creative. So let's say the overlap's not that different.
All right, guys, and of course, you guys can catch Jim's live Action Alerts Plus monthly phone call tomorrow at 11:45 a.m. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see what you have to say.
It's part of your club membership. You
exactly.
Get it. It's a club meeting, and I answer a lot of your questions. Continue to send your questions. I've got, I think, some very good thoughts about where we are in the market, and also some rules.
And you've also got your bull market fantasy show tomorrow, so you're a busy guy.
I am. I have a lot tomorrow. It's going to be a hard day. I was telling my wife that. I was saying, I don't know. I mean, I've got the kind of day where I got to get up at 3:30. I may not even have time to work out, which is bad. But I'll do what I have to do.
All right, so guys, if you're on TheStreet.com or on Facebook Live, we are now heading over to our Action Alerts Plus Daily Rundown show over on ActionAlertsPlus.com. I'm Catherine Ross, and I'll see you over there.